Life as we know it has changed tremendously from what it was in the 1960s. Modern-day kids have probably never seen transistor radios or written letters to save their lives, like in the 1960s. It would surprise today's kids to learn that the typewriter even existed. How do you start explaining to them about the vintage tool that was necessary for the efficient running of offices when they woke up to the computer, smartphone, and iPads? Regardless of the evolution, the 1960s brought an unforgettable euphoria to many. Join us as we take a trip down memory lane to discover these 21 incredible things from the 1960s that modern kids won't understand.
Ice cold refreshments coming right up. Oh boy, a new chocolate. Hope you brought along ice.
1. Milk delivery. Let's start with milk delivery services. Every day at the crack of dawn, suburban dwellers waited with expectation for the milkman to deliver milk right outside their doorsteps. And the experience was more than a delivery. Families established a connection with the milkman, who ensured that they had a constant supply of dairy products. Imagine waking up to fresh milk from a smiling delivery guy ready for a minute or two of chit-chat. Milk was delivered in recyclable glass bottles with paper caps. In addition to milk, milkmen sometimes delivered eggs, butter, cream, juice, or bread. In the 1960s, milk delivery was a personalized service, unlike today where milk banks, supermarkets, and delivery stores have taken center stage. Improved packaging and refrigerators have also contributed to a reduction in milk deliveries.
It's going to cost you $897.40.
Number 2. Typewriters and manual typewriter ribbons. As you marvel at the convenience of getting fresh milk delivered to your doorstep, next up is the typewriter and its ribbons. In the 1960s, poets, journalists, and writers used the typewriter, which revolutionized how they produced written content. Then, typewriters offered efficiency and speed, paving the way for technological advancements like the QWERTY keyboard and word processors. Typewriters came with ribbons, which never lasted. The ribbons were like the cartridges of the modern day. Changing the ribbons was messy and could leave your hands filled with ink if you weren't careful. However, the dominance of the typewriter started fading with the introduction of personal computers with word processing software, which improved typing speed and allowed users to save their work. Number 3. Navigation maps. Maps have played a crucial role in human history since the ancient years. Before the emergence of Google Maps and other advanced digital navigation tools, people had to devise creative methods of finding their way around different places. Such methods involved the use of cumbersome paper maps. Sometimes travelers had to jot down directions, ask locals for guidance, and watch for road signs and physical landmarks to ensure they were on the right path. Some people even used vintage GPS devices to ease navigation. Later, maps evolved from paper to digital after computer science developed software to create and manipulate map images. The early systems laid the perfect foundation for developing advanced digital mapping technologies. Today, you can navigate new areas quickly with a single tap on your screen. Number 4. Writing letters. Generation X and millennials must remember letter writing with a lot of nostalgia. Forget the short messaging service and other digital communication channels for a moment. In the 1960s, you needed to put pen to paper to communicate with your distant loved ones, also known as snail mail. Unlike today, when you can reach out to people with a single click of a button, receiving letters would take ages. But once the letter arrived, opening it was a thrilling experience. Think about it as if you were receiving a surprise gift in the modern day. The experience of receiving letters was surprising and activated excitement because receivers had to open them to unravel the mystery sender.
How will you tune color TV when it comes to your home? By trial and error?
Number 5. Black and white TVs. The first black and white television was sold commercially in 1936, introducing the era of monochromatic television broadcasts, which lasted for years before the introduction of colored televisions. Best believe the ancient people were fascinated by the idea of watching news on the screen, despite the monochrome display. Television technology evolved fast, transitioning from analog to digital in the early 1990s. Digital television came with more advanced features like multiple channels and interactive programming, topping it up with a clearer picture. High-definition television would later be introduced before smart TVs, which the modern generation knows about, made a grand entrance. Today, kids hardly watch TV and have shifted their attention to smartphones, where they can stream events as they happen live. Number 6. Motion film cameras. The invention of cinema dates back to the creativity of visionaries and inventors like Louis Lumière in France and Thomas Edison in America in the 19th century. These pioneers developed simple hand-cranked film cameras which brought moving images to life. Then, static photographs, paintings, and stage plays dominated the era before film cameras introduced the art of capturing life in motion. Gauging by modern standards, initially the films were nothing to write home about. They were black and white, silent, and short. What a boring combination. In today's modern age where social media is a way of life, nearly everybody has a digital channel to document their daily lives. Next time you pick up that camera for your next video or even a podcast, you may want to credit the early pioneers of film cameras. Number 7. Transistor radios. Ancient transistor radios used vacuum tubes. They were fragile, bulky, used large batteries, consumed excess power, and had a limited lifetime. Germanium was later introduced in transistors, offering enhanced performance compared to vacuum tubes. Still, they revolutionized how people listened to the news and music in ancient times. Silicon transistors replaced germanium in the 1960s, providing finer performance characteristics such as improved stability, efficiency, and power handling. Listeners could then enjoy more precise audio quality, enhanced signal reception, and a prolonged battery life. These advancements transformed the transistor radio into a convenient and reliable source of information and entertainment for people. Number 8. Party lines. Before the emergence of smartphones, people relied on party lines for communication, also known as local loop telephone. Party lines were shared by multiple phone service subscribers, making it an avenue for gossip and pure entertainment. Every home was assigned a unique ring, which helped them determine which subscriber should answer the call. And while the party lines created a tactile experience, there was a danger in using them. As you may already imagine, sharing a communication line with other subscribers meant privacy was compromised. Back then, using the telephone was a battle between the prolific and laid-back talkers, with the former engaging the telephone for hours and keeping others waiting to use the lines. Telephone technology has evolved, and modern kids would never imagine a life without smartphones, where communication is a click away and privacy is guaranteed. Number 9. Carbon paper. Before photocopies emerged in the market, people used carbon paper to make copies of typed document. Carbon paper was a thin paper coated with a mixture of pigment and wax, and was inserted between two sheets of paper to make one or multiple copies of an original document. But the carbon paper wasn't a sustainable method of creating a copy. One of its drawbacks was that it only produced limited copies regardless of its quality. Considering the continued demand for enhanced communication and the emergence of advertising, the need for unlimited copying became inevitable. This prompted the development of stencil duplicators, which later made way for the development of the photocopier. The carbon paper wasn't as efficient as the photocopier, but it did get the job done. Number 10. Encyclopedias. Conducting research in the 1960s wasn't as smooth a practice as in the modern tech-savvy world. Then, kids had to dig for information from piles of thick, heavy books called encyclopedias, packed with information on different topics. The word encyclopedia is derived from enkylios paideia, a Greek word meaning general education. Whether they needed to learn about flora and fauna, the environment in general, or the moon, all they had to do was flip through the encyclopedia. However, using the encyclopedia wasn't a walk in the park. It was a hands-on learning adventure that required patience and skill. Modern-day kids can complete research within a split second using advanced digital platforms, and will never understand how difficult researching was in the past. Number 11. Adding machines. The first adding machine was developed by Blaise Pascal, a French philosopher and mathematician. The machine could only subtract and add, and numbers were entered by changing its dials. In the 1960s, adding machines were used in offices for calculations. They came with paper rolls and looked like old-fashioned and cumbersome calculators, with no fascinating features to write home about. Vintage adding machines couldn't even save your work like modern-day computers. Instead, they came with paper rolls where the calculations would appear as users pressed the buttons. You had to have a keen eye for attention to avoid mistakes. One of the most annoying things is that the machines didn't feature the delete button. So, making a mistake meant starting all over again, which could be quite the task. Modern-day kids can't fathom doing math without a digital screen. Number 12. Pull-tab soda cans. Emerald Fraze invented the pull tab, a can opening method in 1959 that would later become a menace to the environment. You see, the tabs were easy to open, but the fact that they would come out of the can meant that people would drop them on the ground. Now, imagine 1,000 of those tabs on the ground every day. Unbelievable, right? While the pull tab eliminated the need for a can opener, more advancements were required to save the environment. And so, a new design that ensured the tabs remained attached to the can was invented in the mid-1960s. Of course, this invention reduced littering. Number 13. Film strip projectors. The film strip was a sequence of images on a roll of film that would be inserted into a projector. The word projector is derived from proicere, a Latin word that means throw forth. Early teachers used the film strip to project an image at a time on a screen. The images would later be accompanied by narration, music, or written commentary which the teacher read aloud. The popularity of the film strip grew, with people viewing it as an educational resource of the future. Today's kids would perceive the film strip projector as an ancient tool compared to present-day digital presentations. However, back in the day, it was an effective piece of technology. Number 14. Record players. In the 1960s, playing music was a captivating activity, and even though record players have been overtaken by technological advancements and digital music players, it remains one of those vintage pieces that Generation X wants anything but to forget. In fact, some people still own record players to date. Back in the day, record players came with a unique feature, allowing users to change the speed to match their preferred record. Music enthusiasts could play music in 3 speeds, 78, 45, and 33 revolutions per minute. Each speed level was a form of communication, enabling the record player to determine how fast to spin the record. Choosing the right speed for your music would change your entire listening experience. Number 15. Soda fountains. Soda fountains were popular joints where big city dwellers and small town residents converged to enjoy carbonated beverages and ice cream saloons. The fancy soda fountains were meeting places for people of different ages to socialize and catch up on the latest happenings and legal places, where people gathered during Prohibition. Soda fountains were often located in drugstores and had an irresistible charm, offering a variety of flavored beverages. People could customize their drinks to satisfy their taste buds. The popularity of soda fountains would soon fade with the entrance of coffee shops, which are now the modern meeting spots. Still, soda fountains remain etched in the minds of the people who use them. Number 16. Hoses for cleaning. Using hoses for cleaning, especially the driveways, was a thing in the 1960s. It is said that the ancient Greeks developed the flexible hose thousands of years ago using an ox's intestines. A Dutch inventor manufactured the premier water hose using leather, which later evolved to linen, cotton, sailcloth, and canvas. Back in the 1960s, people used these hoses for cleaning without considering the amount of water that was going to waste. Using the hose to clean debris in driveways was a therapeutic activity many homesteads adopted. However, as the years went by, people started understanding the importance of conserving water. As a result, modern people have adopted alternative driveway cleaning methods. Number 17. Drive-in theaters. Drive-in theaters were very different from regular movie nights. Think of them as cinema structures comprising a massive outdoor movie screen, car parking areas, concession stands, and a projection booth. And the icing on the cake? You didn't have to squeeze yourself in cramped seats. All you had to do was sit in the comfort and privacy of your car. and enjoy the movie with your loved ones. What fun it was to go on dates and make friends while enjoying the cinematic view. Attendants would nibble on popcorn, snuggle in the blankets, and drink some homemade hot chocolate while watching their favorite movie under the open skies. Number 18. Rotary phones. Before speed dial and touchscreens were invented, the rotary phone existed. Making a call in the past was a whole exercise for your fingers. The rotary phone came with a circular dial with numbers 0 through 9. So, to make a call, you had to stick your finger into the matching number slot, rotate, and release. Of course, the dialing process was slow, and users needed precision and patience to make a call, especially if they were dialing a number with lots of identical digits. People from the current generation will never know the struggle of using the rotary phone. Nowadays, we just use smartphones, where swiping and tapping is the order of the day.
The A-plus easy-to-use camera from Ansco. Let's look into these A-plus features that make picture taking so simple and sure. This pointer here adjusts your Lancer for perfect results in every kind of light. And just by moving this red dot, you get the right focus for scenic, group, or portrait pictures. In fact, if you can read, you can take great pictures with the Ansco Lancer camera.
Number 19. Vintage image cameras. Let's explore the era of vintage cameras. During the 1960s, capturing memories wasn't an instant activity. It would surprise the current generation that vintage cameras used rolls of fragile film that photographers had to load in their cameras delicately and with precision. Each roll came with limited shots, meaning you only had to click when necessary. And if you thought you could preview the image before printing, you're wrong. Photographers had to finish and rewind the entire roll before sending it for development. At Remember the Days, we wonder whether modern kids would wait patiently for their images without having reviewed them first. The thrilling and agonizing feeling of waiting for the photos was unimaginable. With the emergence of smartphones and digital cameras, you no longer have to wait until the only photographer in the village is available to capture your memories. Number 20. Filling station. Pulling into a filling station in the 1960s was a fun experience. No sooner had you rolled down your window than a friendly attendant would be ready to serve you. Not only would they pump your fuel, but they would also check your oil and even clean your windshield. This was before the introduction of dedicated filling stations complete with dispensing pumps. Later, filling stations moved from staffed full-service hubs to self-serve locations, paving the way for the modern stations current generations know about today. The emergence of self-serve stations eliminated personalized service, but saved filling stations owners on the cost of labor. Number 21. Penny candy. Back in the day, penny candy stores were charming locations that many kids found hard to resist. During the 1960s, colorful sweets in the local store were the delight of every child, and all for a penny. Purchasing a handful of penny candy was a dream come true for every youngster. Children couldn't wait to accumulate pennies as they looked forward to purchasing a rainbow of candies. Purchasing candy was more of a ritual of passage into the world of sugary delights. The prospect of filling paper bags with sweets was exciting for every child. Today, candy has evolved to become intricate confections with elaborate packaging. Current generations will never understand the joy simple penny candy brought to the kids in the 1960s. So, there you have the 21 things from the 1960s that present-day kids will never understand. What else can you add to this list? Go ahead and tell us in the comments section below. And like and share this video with your friends and loved ones.